Yes everyone, welcome back to another video. We've been away for a couple of weeks because of international break, but the Premier League is back this weekend, so it's time to do some predictions. It's time to get betting. So yeah, let's dive in. You've got to be wary this weekend because a lot of players have been doing a lot of travelling away, playing for their countries. So you've got players coming back from South America, from Africa. So it usually throws some odd results. So just be careful this weekend. So this is game week 13, and the first game on the Saturday, the early kickoff, is Man City versus Liverpool. What a great game to start the weekend. Now these two last teams, the last time they played each other was back in April, and Man City beat them 4-1. So it was quite a thrashing. Now when these two play, there's usually goals. Going all the way back to, say, July 2020, Man City won 4-0. Then it was 1-1, then it was 4-1 Man City, 2-2. Another 2-2, then 3-2 Liverpool, 3-1 Liverpool. Then there was a 1-0 to Liverpool. Then it went back to 3-2, then 4-1. So there's always goals. And out of 42 head-to-heads, 29 of them have ended in over 2.5 goals. And 67% ended with both teams scoring. So, you know, there should be goals in this. If you look at Liverpool's last 5 away games, every single game has ended with both teams scoring, and 4 of them ended with over 2.5 goals. And if you look at Man City at home, there's been over 2.5 goals in 4 out of the last 5, with them scoring a minimum of 2 goals in every game. So with all this in mind, with all these goals, both teams scoring, we're going with over 2.5 goals with the odds of 1.44. Next up, we've got my team. We've got West Ham, and we're away to Burnley. We started having a bit of a rocky patch, but we've brought it back. You know, we beat Olympiacos in Europe, and then we beat Forest 3-2 in the league. It was a close game, but we played pretty well. Our defence is still a bit dodgy, but we got the win. Burnley, you know, they're still losing. They're bottom of the league with 4 points. It's really not looking good for them at all. They're level on points now with Everton because they've had the 10-point deduction, and I don't know. I can't see Burnley moving anywhere. They're just, I don't know. They've really struggled. Burnley's last game at home was against Crystal Palace, and they lost 2-0. West Ham away from home, we're not doing good. We've had 3 losses in a row. That was against Aston Villa. We got thrashed 4-1. We lost to Olympiacos away. That was 2-1, and then we lost to Brentford 3-2. So away from home, you know, we're not doing great, but we are scoring goals. We've scored in all of our last 5 away games. In terms of Burnley scoring at home, they've only scored in 3 of them. So yeah, not great. Not great for them. Now, there's not usually much goals between these two teams. Out of the last 20 head-to-heads, only 5 ended in over 2.5 goals, and 11 out of the 20 ended with both teams scoring. So I don't expect too many goals to be happening in this one. But I do think we will get the win here, just because Burnley, they're not getting any wins here. They're sitting rock bottom. We've started to pick up some wins recently, so I think we'll get the win here. We'll get the 3 points, and the odds of that are 1.91. Next up, we have Luton versus Crystal Palace. Luton sit 17th, so, you know, they're not in the relegation zone now, you know, with Everton going down there. Crystal Palace sit 12th with 15 points. Now let's look at the form. Liverpool. Luton in the last 5 games picked up no wins. They've got 3 losses, 2 draws, and their most recent game was the 1-0 loss to Man United. But they did draw to Liverpool 1-1. So their last 2 games have had arguably tough teams, and they've done pretty well. They haven't got thrashed, so they're doing okay. Palace's last game was at home against Everton. They lost 3-2. Away from home, their last game was against Burnley, and they won 2-0. Luton seem to have a problem scoring more than just 1 goal at home. In the last 5 games, they've only scored 1 goal in 4 of them, and in one of the games, they scored none. Palace away from home, they've scored in 3 out of the 5 away. So again, not brilliant. Luton's defence seems to be doing pretty well. They, you know, the game against Liverpool, they held them just to scoring 1 goal, and yeah, they've done really well. So I think they'll do the same here. Palace, they're not scoring many goals away from home, so overall, I don't think there'll be many goals. So I'm going with under 2.5 goals, and odds of that are 1.65. Now we've got another good game here. We've got Newcastle versus Chelsea. This one's a tough one. So you've got Newcastle sitting 7th, Chelsea sitting 10th. Newcastle have lost 2 games in a row now. That was against Dortmund and Bournemouth. Chelsea are doing okay. They're doing okay. In their last 5 games, they've only lost the 1, and that was at home to Brentford. But since that game, they've beat Blackburn in the Cup. Yeah. They got the 4-1 win against Tottenham. And then they got the 4-4 draw with Man City. So they seem to be doing a bit better. Now this is where it gets quite interesting. At home, Newcastle doing very well. 4 wins out of the 5. Chelsea away from home, I've got 3 wins out of 5, but they're on a streak of 4 games without a loss away from home. So I'm expecting quite a close game. It's quite hard to call here. Last year, both the games ended 1-1. So 1-1 at Stamford Bridge, 1-1 over at St James Park. And I do think we're going to see both teams scoring in this one as well. I don't know if it'd be 1-1. I could see a 2-1 either way. I'm not sure to who though. I do think it'll be close. I think Chelsea could grab the win here. So we're just going to go with the standard, both teams to score, and the odds of that are 1.6. Okay, so next up we've got Bournemouth versus Sheffield. They're both sitting right near the bottom of the league. You've got Sheffield sitting 18th and Bournemouth just above in 16th. Very important game for both these teams. You know, 3 points here could be massive by the end of the season and can define if they get relegated or not. It's going to be fine margins this year, I think. So, very important game. Now, Sheffield, they're starting to pick up some points. They beat Wolverhampton 2-1 and then they got a draw with Brighton away from home, so that's 2 good results. Bournemouth also got a win in their last game before the international break. They beat Newcastle 2-0, which I don't think many people were expecting, so both teams done well there. Now Sheffield, they do concede a fair amount of goals. In the last 5 games, they've conceded in 4 of them at home. Bournemouth, on the other hand, they do pretty well scoring away from home. Out of the last 5 away games, they've scored in 4 of them. So I think we'll see Bournemouth score here. Ideally, I would have gone for double chance, draw or Bournemouth to win, but the odds are just too low. They're like 1.3, so we're going to mix it up a bit. We're going with the away team, so Bournemouth to score over 1.5 goals, and the odds of that are 2.1. So yeah, decent odds for that, I think. Next up, we have Nottingham Forest versus Brighton. Brighton are 8th in the league. Forest are 14th. Both are on like a similar sort of form at the moment. Both getting quite a few draws here and there. At home, Forest have not lost in 4 games. However, out of the 5, 3 of them are draws. Away from home, Brighton have picked up 2 draws, 2 losses and 1 win. Their most recent away win being against Ajax in Europe, but in the league their last away game was against Everton and that was 1-1. Now with this one, the odds are in the favour of Brighton. They're quite heavy favourites here, but I think Forest are going to surprise everyone again, and I don't think they're going to lose this. I think either a draw or Forest just about nick it, so we're going to play it a bit safe. We're going to go double chance with Forest to either win or to draw, and the odds are 1.62. Now on to the evening game, which is we've got Brentford versus Arsenal. Let's dive in. So Arsenal away from home at the moment are not doing that great. Out of the last 5 away games, including cup games, they've only won 1 game, and that was against Seville. They've lost to Newcastle, they've lost to West Ham, they drew to Chelsea, and they lost to Lens. So away from home, it's not looking good for Arsenal. At home for Brentford, they've won their last 2 games against West Ham and against Burnley. In both them games, they scored 3 goals, so, you know, they're having no trouble scoring at the moment. Head-to-head, last year the games were close. When they played at Arsenal, the score was 1-1, and then when the game played at Brentford, Arsenal only won 1-0. So they've been pretty close games. So with Brentford doing well recently, scoring at home, and Arsenal conceding a fair amount of goals away from home, I think both teams will score here. I know last year this fixture ended 1-0, but at Arsenal it did end 1-1. And I think it'd be a similar sort of game in this one. So we'll we'll go with both teams to score, and the odds are 1.75. Okay, so that's all of Saturday's games. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games on Saturday. We're also going to do Sunday games and the Monday night game in this video too. But first of all, I just want to quickly mention, I do have a paid Telegram account. It's a monthly fee, and you get every single bet, which are mainly in-play bets. So instant notifications straight to your phone of the in-play bets I do. And because it's Black Friday, I am offering you 1 month for just £15. Usually it's £25. So for that £15, you get access to 2 channels. One is with all my tips, which I do, in-play, pre-match, everything I do. Everything. All in there, and you get notifications straight to your phone. You also get access to a premium chat channel when you see all the other members and everyone discusses their bets, have some banter, see any bets which I might have missed out on. And yeah, it's just a very good vibe, good banter. Get in there. So for £15 for 1 month, it's worth trying out. You save yourself a tenner, see what it's like for a month, especially now we're coming up to Christmas. There's so many games to look forward to, so it's a good time to join and see if you like it or not. So to join this, make sure you have the Telegram app on your phone or your laptop. Click the link in description and speak to the bot, and you will see an offer where it says £25 a month. But if you click that, it will automatically go down to £15 just before payment. Okay, so click that, and you get the gist. So the first game on Sunday at 2 o'clock, we have got Tottenham versus Aston Villa. They're both having a very good season. So Tottenham are 4th, Villa are 5th. However, Spurs have got into a bit of a sticky patch here. So they had the 4-1 loss to Chelsea, and then straight after that they had the 2-1 loss to Wolverhampton when Wolverhampton scored both goals in stoppage time at the end. So their confidence must be proper shitty right now for Tottenham. Villa, on the other hand, are doing very well. In their last 5 games, they've won 4 of them. They're coming into this game after a 3-1 win against Fulham. Last season, Villa won both games against Spurs. So at Tottenham, Villa won 2-0. And then over at Villa Park, Villa won again 2-1. However, Villa's most recent away game, they didn't play very well. They lost to Nottingham Forest 2-0. Now, don't get me wrong, Villa are having a great season, and they will play well in this game. But I do think Spurs are going to nick the win here. And their odds of 2.1, I think it's worth it. So we're going to chuck that in. Tottenham to win, 2.1. Next up, we have Everton versus Man U. That's the late kickoff on the Sunday. Poor old Everton, they've had 10 points deducted, so now they sit 19th in the league with 4 points. I still think they'll stay up because they've been playing pretty well. At home, they haven't lost in 3 games now. They beat Bournemouth, Burnley, drew to Brighton. Man U's most recent win was against Luton, that was 1-0. Away from home, their last away game in the league was the 1-0 win against Fulham, where they just about got it. So it's a tricky one, this one, because with Everton, is the 10-point deduction going to, ruin their confidence? Are they going to be down by it? Is it going to show on the pitch that they're a bit depressed about it? Or it might have an opposite effect. It might, hype them up and prove everyone wrong that they can get out of this and they didn't deserve the 10-point deduction and get the win. So I don't know. I don't know who's going to win this one. In this fixture last year at Everton, Man U won 2-1. So yeah, where do we go with this one? Now, Man U do have a very good record against Everton. Out of 35 matches, they've won 19 of them. And in the last 3 games, Man U have won all of them. The odds offered are 2.3, which is crazy. When you think about it, it's Man U. Back in the day, you would never get odds like this, but they're not the same anymore. But I do think they'll nick this win. And I think 2.3 is worth it. So we're going with that. 2.3, Man U to win. Now we're going to the last game, which is Monday night, and it's Fulham versus Wolves. Both are having very similar seasons at the moment. Wolves are sitting 13th. Fulham 15th. Their form is kind of the same. Wolves is slightly better overall. Away from home, Wolves have lost 3 out of the last 5. They've only won 1 out of 5 against Bournemouth. Fulham at home, pretty solid. Out of 5 games, they've won 3 of them, but their last one was the 1-0 loss against Man U, but they did get very unlucky there. They last played each other in February this year. The result was 1-1, and before that, in August 22, that was a draw as well. That was 0-0. Before that, it was only 1-0 to Wolves. Then the year before that, it was 1-0 to Wolves, and 1-0 to Wolves, 1-1. So yeah, it's going to be a low scoring game, isn't it? I think it's going to be a low scoring game. Now don't get me wrong, Wolves away from home at the moment, there's been a crazy amount of goals. 2-1, 2-1, 3-2, 1-1, 3-2. At Fulham, it's been 1-0, 3-1, 2-0, 2-1. But I'm just going by their most recent head-to-heads. There's barely any goals ever. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So in the last 8 head-to-heads, there hasn't been over 2.5 goals. So we're going to go with under 2.5 goals on this one. We're going against we're going against everyone else on this one. I reckon a lot of people will be going overs on this one just because of both of their recent games, but we're going to go under, and odds of that are 1.73. So as always, I've put these all into a massive accumulator, and it's a big one. So the tenfold returns £3,605 if you put £10 on it. So yeah, big odds, 360.56 these odds are. But what I do always recommend is, out of all these selections, pick 2 or 3 and make a double out of it to increase your chances and put a bit more money on that, if money you can afford. But if you do decide to do the whole thing, just small stakes only, of course, because it's very unlikely to come in. The odds are high for a reason, so use a free bet only or low stakes. Before I go, don't forget the Black Friday deal. It's going to expire on Monday, and it's £15 for 1 whole month. Just click the description below. It will say $24.99, but once you click it, it will discount automatically, and that will put you into 2 channels, and it's going to help you bet in. You're going to get good tips and a good environment and blah 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 blah. But you've only got until Monday to join it, so link is in the description. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Good luck with all your betting, and I shall see you in the next video. If you like all betting and football and blah 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 blah, make sure you hit subscribe and like it. Comment below what selections you're going to do this weekend, and I shall see you in the next one. Peace.